Today we are looking at germinating seeds. We're looking at different seed treatments in terms of how different treatments increase the rate of germination. So germination is just when a seed starts to grow. The seeds we're using are acacia seeds, or you might know them as wattle seeds. These are the seeds here. We've got a couple of different species that we're going to try out both of those and see if there's a difference in the success rate of germination of the two different species. The different treatments we're going to do we call scarification. So scarification is just basically using different techniques to crack the really hard coating that these seeds have. The seeds won't grow unless the seed coat will crack and allow water to go inside to initiate the germination process. So the different scarification techniques we're trialing today are scarification by fire. So we're actually going to make a little fire and heat treat the seeds with fire. We're also going to look at scarification using hot water. Not quite boiling, but nearly boiling. And the other method we're going to look at is mechanical scarification, where we're going to use a rough surface, in this case sandpaper, to crack the seed coat by rubbing it on the sandpaper. So we'll take you through each one of those methods, and then we'll plant the seeds, and we're going to monitor those for a while to see how successful each of the scarification techniques was by looking at the germination rate. So to do our scarification using fire, we've got ourselves a terracotta pot. And we're using a terracotta pot because it's basically fireproof. In that we have a base of sand, and that's 3 centimeters deep. We then take the seeds that we want to scarify. These are our little acacia or wattle seeds. We sprinkle those over the surface of the sand, so they're just sprinkled there evenly. We then need to cover those with a layer of sand that's about 1 centimeter thick, and that's just going to protect them from the worst of the heat and hopefully give them exactly the right sort of heat they need in order to crack that seed coat. So once we've got those nicely covered, we're basically going to build a fire over the top. And we've got here some dry leaf litter. So if we just pop that in. And we need to make sure we're burning this for about 10 minutes. So to get our leaf litter burning, we are going to use one of these, which is a fire lighter. I'll just pop that in amongst our leaf litter in there. We'll light that with a match to get it all going. And we need to make sure we burn this for 10 minutes. And we'll just keep popping leaf litter on that to make sure we get our 10 minutes worth of fire. And we'll come back to you after we've burned it for 10 minutes. So our fire's been burning for about 10 minutes now. We just need to let this sit now overnight to fully cool down because the pot is quite hot. And we need to be able to sort our seeds from the sand and the burnt leaf litter in there. So these are the seeds that we scarified by fire yesterday. So they've been sitting overnight just to allow all of those ashes and the burned bits of leaves to cool down. So what we have to do is remove that top layer of burned debris. And then we need to scoop out the sand. I might actually just pour that in, and we will sieve all of that to recover our seeds. There's still a fair bit of debris there, so we'll just sort through all of that. But we can see here we've got some seeds, and these are the ones that have been scarified using fire. So we'll separate all of that out and get those ready for planting. Because it's quite hard to see with the naked eye what's actually happened to our seed during the treatments, we've actually taken some pictures using the dissecting microscope so we can see what's actually happened to the seed case. You can see the picture on the left is our control seed, so that's a seed that's had no treatment at all. On the right is our fire scarified seed, and if you look quite closely you can see that the whole surface of that seed is now covered in these fine little cracks. The scarification technique we're going to use next is scarification by nearly boiling water. The water was around 85 to 90 degrees. So we just pour some of this hot water into each of our beakers. And then all we do is drop our seeds in. These are the acacia picantha seeds. We just drop those in there, and the acacia sophoria, drop those into there. And now we just let those sit until the water has cooled down before we plant the seeds. Again, we have taken some photos using the dissection microscope. We have on the left the control seed with no scarification. On the right we have a seed that has been treated with hot water. And you can see, if you look quite closely, that this seed case has also been cracked. These cracks are a little bit different to the cracks that we got with fire scarification. They're quite long, going across the seed case, and there's not quite as many cracks as we got with the fire scarification. This scarification technique is mechanical scarification. What we're going to do is take one of our wattle seeds and we're going to rub that on the sandpaper just until we have exposed the inside of the seed and broken through the outside seed casing, and we'll show you that under the dissecting microscope so you can actually see what that looks like. So this is a view down the dissecting microscope of mechanical scarification, and again on the left our control with no scarification, on the right is the mechanically scarified seed, and you can actually see that sort of pale green colour showing through the seed case. That's where we have, using the sandpaper, removed the outer seed casing and exposed the inside of the seed. So this is our growing media. This is basically the stuff we're going to plant our seeds into. We've made this up especially. It's a combination of vermiculite and peat moss, and we've made it up in accordance with the instructions. We are going to plant 2 trays. The first tray will have one species, the second will have the other species, and we're going to plant 4 different treatments into each. The first treatment will be what we call control, and that's just the seeds with no scarification at all. So we have something to compare our scarification methods to. So we will plant some of those unscarified seeds. We're going to plant our fire scarified seeds into this row here, our mechanically scarified seeds into this row here, and our hot water treated seeds into this row here. We're going to plant 5 seeds into each cell. Basically using a toothpick, we just make a little hole for each seed to go into, and then we grab one seed and drop it into the hole. We need to make sure we're planting them about 1 centimetre in depth. Once we have our seeds in our holes, we just really gently want to cover those over. Now we won't have to water these seeds during our experiment, the bottom of our tray has been filled with enough water to keep the seeds hydrated, and hopefully we won't need to water them at all during their growing. So we're going to go ahead and plant all of those seeds, and we'll come back to you once we've done that. So we've finished planting up our seed trays. We have the Acacia pycnantha in this planting tray here, and the other wattle in this tray here. What we have to do now is make sure we cover them with the lids. The lids have these vents that will allow air in or not. We need to keep those vents closed, and we're going to pop these in a dark place for a couple of days. After they've been in the dark for a couple of days, we're going to take them out and leave them on the bench, and every day or couple of days we will make some observations and look to see when the plants start to emerge and which treatments are helping the seeds to germinate fastest.